ekhaya akube nekuthula emakhaya inkosi yemusa inibusise emakhaya nisahleli nisabukela umsakazo wethu Thombe Eswatini TV sibuka samaswati nisale kahle.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondumiso Vilagata alongside Zamanzi Manze, and here are your top stories. The Royal Eswatini Police Service has destroyed Dhaka from the Hoho region worth over 3 million emalangeni in street value price on Tuesday. The second day of the induction conference of the 12th Parliament focused on the processes of a bill and the constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Eswatini has been commended for playing a significant role in fighting epilepsy-related illnesses. And now the news in detail. The Ministry of Agriculture has advised maize farmers who are yet to plough to make use of seed varieties that will withstand harsh weather conditions. The Principal Secretary, Sindis Melane, said this after the Eswatini Meteorological Services said temperatures will drop in the next few days.
The meteorologist Nancy Dlamini says temperatures are expected to drop from tomorrow and there will be reasonable rains. She continues to say the temperatures will be low in the next coming days compared to what has been experienced in the past week and this week where they reached highs of 32 degrees, even in places like Mbabane where they are usually very low.
So last week we had a high pressure medium levels 8. So lokwendekile kwasibangela ukuthi kube khona le heat wave. So ke ezinamuhla seyishiftile sey west of Southern Africa, of which is letinye tindzawo tase Southern Africa they still bavale heat wave, but for us it's no relief because sine kwendlula isinanglo sekubita ukuthi ngomsingalo banzako upheliketelwa yi tropical air lokutawusendela ukuthi kusasa sibe nelithuba lokuthi sidaba nayo imvula lengihambisana ekuthuma.
The Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Sydney Simelane, gives tips to farmers as weather patterns continue to be altered.
Farmers are really encouraged to make use of the varieties that will take a short time to mature, varieties that will not require a lot of water so that they can survive even in the low field where it is very, very hot. So our extension officers are out there trying to help the communities to make the right choices as far as their seeds are concerned. Same thing applies to the companies that actually produce the seeds. It is very important for them to share their experiences with the public. You will realize that they have demonstration sites along the main roads where they actually grow their varieties to show that this one will withstand certain weather conditions.
The Executive Director of Eswatini Agricultural Union, Lwazi Mamba, says farmers were worried about the high temperatures. He says they will also monitor the weather conditions, giving farmers timely updates. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Mbendulo Kumbi and Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
The second day of the induction conference of the 12th Parliament focused on the processes of a bill and the constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Clerk to Parliament Benedict Gaba said the constitution is the foundation of the country's legislative body.
Tuesday marked the second day of the induction conference of the 12th Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Clerk to Parliament Benedict Gaba gave an overview of the day.
They've learned about the constitution of the land, which is really the Bible of every member of Parliament. So they must know each clause of the constitution like the Bible in the verse. So they were really lectured on the constitution, and it was really engaging in all the discussions. Also then the history of the Tingunda system. It was very important also that they learn about the history of the system and understand how Tingunda system works.
Former legislator Matendele Dlamini shared with the parliamentarians the importance of the constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini.
This is the constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Now, tele ncwadi le vele utawulahleka ngoba emavesi onke ala kumthethosisekelo. Section 79 uthi Swaziland or Eswatini shall be a democratic Tingunda system with the devolution of power and services to the grassroots level.
The Attorney General, Sifiso Khumalo, talked about the processes of a bill in Parliament.
Kukhona sigaba lesibita ngokuthi first reading. Siyifunza kwecala le bill. Lokusho ukuthi lapho umqondo wenkulumo ubese uthumela clerk a table. Kuthi akayifunze lesihloko salomthetho noma ke sale bill bacela ukusifunza lesihloko kutawuthatha le bill seyifunziwe esigabeni sekucala. That's the first stage, the first reading there.
The induction conference of the 12th Parliament will proceed for a week. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sam Kalsuekoza with Zimuva Shongwe, Esulweni.
The Eswatini Environment Authority Executive Director Gcina Dladla says the country needs to upscale waste value chain initiatives. Dladla was speaking during a marketing skills workshop for compost makers on Tuesday.
The Ministry of Housing, in partnership with the Eswatini Environment Authority, with the support from the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, is hosting a marketing skills workshop for compost makers, which are women from the country's local authorities. These entrepreneurs make compost using organic waste. EEA Executive Director Gcina Dladla emphasized on the importance of exploring other waste value chains.
Organic waste is still a big part of what we take to our landfills in the country. Unfortunately, more than 30%, and that's a huge contributor amongst our leading greenhouse gas emissions as a country. So as we are all going to the COP28 in Dubai, this is very important for us as a country to be seen to be supporting this type of initiatives where we cut off all the emissions that otherwise would have been emitted by the country by helping these women organizations to take all the organic waste through this composting processing so that we can cut off the greenhouse gas actual emissions from our waste sector.
Compost makers from Mankayane and Ezulwini, during an interview, said this brilliant business initiative was inspired by the fact that fertilizer is now becoming more expensive.
Manyolo udule kakhulu la titolo, so sabona ukuthi kuze kuthi bantu batawusitakala asendele mnanjana le fertilizer iorganic lokukahle ngayo.
Umhlaba wonke siphila ngokulima. So masingena kule business lena sikhanze ukuthi ibusiness le ingasustain ngisho netitukulwana.
The trained compost makers will be awarded with personal protective equipment. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Sam Kalsuekoza with Zimuva Shongwe, Esulweni.
The Ministry of Education and Training is currently meeting different stakeholders as it looks for a way to boost the school feeding scheme program. Tobile Kamete, a senior inspector of nutrition in the Ministry of Education, says due to the COVID-19 pandemic, government food reserves in the program have declined, so that is why they have met different stakeholders to find solutions.
Our theme for the Indaba is building back better, and everyone has a role to play. Why the Indaba? We have decided to have the Indaba as the Ministry of Education because we are grateful firstly to the Kingdom of Eswatini for continually supporting the school feeding program financially. and also ensuring that there is a budget for the program. However, after COVID, we experienced a lot of challenges, some of which bordered around hikes in food prices, fuel prices, and that led to us having to reduce some of the quantities, and other quantities we had to suspend. And then we sat as a panel and looked at how we can improve.
Parents say they have to take part in providing food in schools. They say chiefs should also be roped in, as they can help them acquire land for farming. They further say learners who are doing agriculture, especially those who completed Form 5 who are still waiting to go to tertiary institutions, can be asked to help them cultivate maize and different vegetables for their schools.
Sesibukile nje sinahulumende nakangasilekelela lemakhaya sinemasimi esikolweni tindzawo tinkulu. Nakungathiwa nje kutholakala tigulumba. Siyakhona kugagabula umhlabathi sibuye sibadale silime.
Ayibuye esiveni. Seboshifu tikolo tithole indzawo yokulima. Lapho kunemanti khona kulinywe bantwana bathole kudla. Lokhu akusakumenta lokulethwa nguhulumende ngoba vele uhulumende soyasokola emalini.
The Ministry of Education says about 340,000 learners in 874 schools are under the schools feeding program. For Eswatini TV News, Neswendla Ngamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The Eswatini National Petroleum Company has donated a sum of 50,000 Malangeni to Autism Eswatini. ENPC Chief Executive Officer Nhlanhla Dlamini elaborated on the importance of enhanced autism public awareness.
The Eswatini National Petroleum Company has donated 50,000 Malangeni to Autism Eswatini. The donation was presented to Autism Eswatini by ENPC Chief Executive Officer Nhlanhla.
Sito donate lapha ku Autism Eswatini. Singapani ke le strong CSI program. Sibuye kuhle lokuthi asibuye sito donate ku Autism Eswatini. Ngamali enganga 50,000 emalangeni. We are aware my challenges lesifacea kusimaswati, particularly imindeni, particularly na autism Eswatini ngokusiraise imama ukuthi iraise awareness kuletindzaba autism.
Pastor Senzo Hlatshwayo, who is the chairperson of the board of directors of Autism Eswatini, appreciated the donation.
Autism is a practical response issue. And it's specializing responses. So that then gave birth to a vision. As Autism Eswatini, we need to build an infrastructure, a structure that will respond to autism. We ngebambisana with micro projects, nemimango last waka corner. We found land in our sesitholile last waka corner.
The ENPC Chief Executive Officer also encouraged other companies to join in and support autism initiatives. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza, Babane.
Eswatini has been commended for playing a significant role in fighting epilepsy-related illnesses. Eswatini was commended in a meeting that was held in Ethiopia last week. Abraham Jalinjali from the Eswatini Epilepsy Organization attended the meeting.
Eswatini was one of the countries invited to attend the annual conference on epilepsy in Ethiopia this past week. The Director of Operations in the Epilepsy Organization, Abraham Jalinjali, elaborates on the meeting.
Commendation or recommendation of Eswatini in terms of how its programs, are able to deliver. One of the things that was noted there is that Eswatini is one of the few countries where the fight against epilepsy is one where the organization, government, development partners are working together. As you know, we are working very well with the Ministry of Health and also the TPM's office to an extent to fight epilepsy in the country. So that was noted, and it was really a good thing that Africa is aware of that. One of the things that was also raised there is the issue of how we should be able to differentiate between epilepsy as a neurological disorder.
He says some developing countries still have scarcity in dealing with epilepsy because it is not understood as a condition and there's still a lot of stigma. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Kian Msibi, visuals from the Epilepsy Organization.
The Bishop John Neshong Foundation has spent over 1 million emalangeni helping the needy in the country since it was founded in the year 2021. This was revealed during the donation of 10,000 emalangeni by Precious Beauty Parlor in Manzini towards an event to help destitute families and individuals scheduled for the 27th of next month.
Every year during the month of December, the Bishop John Neshong Foundation conducts a service where they donate to the needy. Precious Beauty Parlor in Manzini has donated towards the event. Speaking during the donation, one of the directors, Victor Masilela, says by them giving to the foundation, they believe that more lives will be changed.
Akunako ukubusiseka kaja lokupha sinenge lesibusiso noma ungeke wasibona mhlambe sita ngemuntu lomjwayelo but uNkulunkulu uba nendlela takhe latsebenzisako letivela ngendlela lemangalisako ubone ukuthi ayila sekunesandla saNkulunkulu.
The founder of the John Neshongwe Foundation, Bishop Neshongwe, says they do not discriminate against churches or religion when they give to the needy. He says the elderly, disabled, and anyone else that needs help can be assisted under the foundation.
Vision yale foundation ayisebenzi ubusondo asikubuthi nje isondo ukuthi uthanda zaphi kuya ngalapha ungogo siyahla umkhulu siyahla ukhobathekile siyahla umntwana kanze usincane uswele nje khona nje ubuya kwambhadalela nje ngiyefika ngenyanga kubuya mnyama tipha kule sikole siyamsidi.
Bishop Neshongwe says the objective is to reach out to all the needy in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
The director of the Eswatini Action Group Against Abuse, Swaga Nonhlanhla Dlamini, says they have seen an increase in the number of people reporting abuse, which is quite a good move to the right direction. She says they report abuse, not violence.
Since we introduced our toll-free line post-COVID, we've actually seen more people reporting, especially men, because previously some of them were afraid to come off the offices, citing that we would probably laugh at them. And we've never laughed at any person reporting abuse within the organization. But after speaking to someone over the phone and being well received, they then have the courage to actually come to the office physically. So we're actually seeing quite a number of people that are reporting.
The director of the 1 Billion Rising campaign, Koran Tlachwago, encourages people to report abuse.
And from the cases, we recorded 80% were reported by women and young women, and around 2% is men. But we don't take it lightly that it's only 2% for men, because we realize that we appreciate those who are taking the courage to come up and speak out against any violence or any abuse that is happening in their lives.
Partnerships between stakeholders in ending violence has helped in encouraging people to speak up on abuse. Reporting IM Kian MCB, Manzini.
The Royal Eswatini Police Service has destroyed dagga from the Hoho region worth over 3 million emalangeni in street value price on Tuesday. The Pikes Peak magistrate was also present during the exercise.
The police destroyed dagga worth 3,193 emalangeni 279 in street value price, weighing about 5,322.132 kg. Present during the destruction of the drug was Pikes Peak Magistrate Sibonelo Dlamini.
We have experienced quite a number of dagga cases in our jurisdiction and around the country. Dagga remains a prohibited drug within the country, and we advise people, especially the youth, not to find themselves in contrary with the law. Dagga, which is a potentially harmful drug, remains prohibited because it has a lot of effects to the society. We have seen a rise of brutal cases wherein people are fighting over the dagga. There are dealers who are engaged in this substance and they fight over these dagga dealings.
The police force continued with the exercise in other regions as well. The amount combined from the 4 regions amounts to 12 million in Malangani, 118, with a street value price of 7 million in Malangani, 271. For Eswatini TV News, I am Kian Msibi. Visuals provided by the police service.
Churches seem to be positioning themselves in the fight against gender-based violence, which is now rife in the country. Kazondwago Chiefdom will hold its end-of-year convention this coming weekend, where they will be praying for the end of gender-based violence, amongst other issues. This was said by the chairman of pastors at Kazondwago, Philemon Mgapi, in an interview with Eswatini TV.
So the theme of this service is the impact of the church in the community. As we know that the church is engulfed by domestic violences, and also the church is needed politically and also the social way of life. So this service is meant as we conclude the year.
In our international news, the 4-day truce between Israel and Hamas has been extended by 2 days. This has been done to end the pending war between the two nationals. The new truce has come to an effect today.
The addition of 2 days to the 4 days truce has been announced by Qatar, which is the mediator between Israel and Hamas. The agreement has been made when Hamas released 11 hostages, while Israel released 33 Palestinian prisoners on their last exchange of their first deal. In these 2 additional days, Israel is expected to release 60 Palestinian prisoners, while Hamas is expected to release 20 more hostages. The news departments in Israel report that 14,500 people have died since the war began between Israel and Hamas. On the other hand, the Kenyan government has urged the citizens of the country to relocate from flooding-prone areas to places of higher grounds. This follows consistent heavy rainfalls, which has caused havoc to the Eastern African country. Reports say the number of deaths has increased to 76 people, while 40,000 people are homeless since the beginning of the floods in October this year. According to Kenyan State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed, the flooding has resulted to disease outbreaks, destruction of infrastructure and property. It is said the most vulnerable areas to the disaster are the coastal cities of Mombasa, Malindi and the northern Kenya region which borders Somalia. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Mpendulo Gumbi, visual sourced from France 24 and DW.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
It can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV. We begin our sports news with Manzini Wanderers head of governor Mbongani Mdluli says the club has started looking at ways of addressing the serious financial crisis that has affected the team and ended up affecting the club's performance. Mdluli says it takes around 250,000 Malangeni monthly to run a club like Manzini Wanderers.
Following a statement revealed by Manzini Wanderers head coach Nyanga Hlope saying that lack of incentives for players and not being able to train regularly due to financial issues is what is affecting the current performance of the team. Board of Directors Governor at the club, Bongani Mdluli, says there is something they are doing to address the situation.
Kuze kuthi nje function properly, iManzini Wanderers will need 250,000 monthly. Sengikhuluma monthly kuze kuthi function properly. Ngikhulumela training, ngikhulumela preparation for games, salaries, so many things. The team trains twice a day. So kuba ngile issue ukuthi na team ekseni nyalo nje maybe ya break nga 11. Sekufanele ukuthi iphindze resume nga 3 o'clock entsambama uyabona. So then bese sekubana le break le ukuthi vele obviously there must be something ukuthi baqhubeke obviously na kudzingala ukuthi kudliwe. So that is how all these issues of hunger ifika hayi ukuthi badlali nje bayalamba.
Some of the supporters we managed to talk to are also reacting to the situation.
Kuyashaqisa kakhulu lokubuka lesimo sendeka and sekuyi long term serving lendlela lokwendeka ngayo ukuthi every season sahlale sistruggle.
Asekuthiwe bake bathatha ileague noma iSwazi Bank kwase kutholakala ukuthi abakaholi kanti imali siyibonile ingenile bawine something bese kuthiwa abakaholi sebangakhona ukucomplaina nabo.
Intombi mayiqomile ikuthanda vele mzukwana ungenalutho kungaphele kudle ibone ikhikile empty yabekezela nilale ngomntanya iphuza umntanya umbhubhudla simo sizosenga bona abafunela ikhambi babambisane bahlangana endlini kagogo bahlangene ukuthi team bayenza njani.
Wanderers in their next M10 Premier League game will play against log leaders and Babane City Giants, Babane Swallows, this coming weekend. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
And in our international news, Manchester United ladies team and England goalkeeper Mary Earps has been awarded as BBC Women's Footballer of the Year 2023.
And in our international sports news, England and Manchester United goalkeeper Mary Earps has been voted BBC Women's Football Player of the Year. Earps won the Golden Glove as England reached the World Cup final in August, which they lost 1-0 to Spain, despite Earps serving a second-half penalty. And in other news, UEFA Champions League games return this evening, with defending champions Manchester City taking on RB Leipzig from Germany. Barcelona from Spain will play FC Porto from Portugal. Lazio Roma from Italy will face Celtic Glasgow from Scotland, while Paris Saint-Germain from France will play English side Newcastle United. Borussia Dortmund from Germany will play Milan from Italy. And in other news, Crystal Palace midfielder Cheki Dokure might miss the rest of the season after sustaining an injury in their 2-1 defeat at Luton Town on Saturday. Dokure, who is only 23 years old, was stretched off after going down in pain while playing a pass early in the second half. The injury might rule him out of the Africa Cup of Nations, as he was expected to represent the country that he's born from, which is Mali. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, picture source from DW VOA.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. The Royal Eswatini Police Service has destroyed Dhaka from the Hoho region worth over 3 million emalangeni in street value price on Tuesday. The second day of the induction conference of the 12th Parliament focused on the processes of a bill and the constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini. Eswatini has been commended for playing a significant role in fighting epilepsy-related illnesses. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.
Sifiso sahulumende welive laKangwane ukuthi lonke eLeswati liphile impilo lenhle nalenethedekile. Kuphumelelisa ke lesifiso uhulumende waseSwatini wabata imali esikhwameni se-Regional Development Fund RDF micro project